Donald Trump, Part 6, Attorney General Mockery. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor, continuing the examination of famous and infamous individuals to enable you to understand why they behave as they do and to expand your knowledge about narcissism. With Donald Trump's resurgence, it would be remiss not to utilize the occasions where he is newsworthy to improve your understanding of his behavior and narcissism. An article in Designer written by Morgan Keith tells us, at his Arizona rally, Trump played a supercut of New York Attorney General Letitia James, who was investigating his real estate company for fraud, labeling her an unhinged liberal. When you're an individual of prominence, you invariably face criticism. Not everybody will like you. There will be those that, of course, might be seeking to do you down, often narcissists themselves. You will often face investigation with regard to business dealings, political dealings, motivated by another's desire, perhaps to assert control over that person, where they're a narcissist, and in other instances, in the pursuit of justice, where they believe that there has been some kind of crime committed. Individuals who are prominent are often, but not always, narcissists, those that get to the top of the tree in professions, politics, business, music, art, acting, running a country and so forth, invariably do so, and are often narcissists, which means that people's toes have been trod on along the way. People have been pulled off the ladder. People have been utilized and then dispensed with. And invariably, there will be disgruntled individuals, ranging from the friends who now hear nothing from the person because they're now famous, through to individuals who've been stiffed out of money, possibly sexually assaulted, individuals who've been dismissed from jobs that they feel that are unfair. And of course, those individuals are often portrayed as disgruntled individuals who've got a bee in their bonnet and an axe to grind with the relevant person. The narcissist invariably deals with a threat to control by smearing those individuals. Oh, him? Yes, we used to be friends, but he was always asking me for money once I became famous, and I had to cut him adrift. That might be the truth, it might be a half-truth, or it might be nowhere near the truth. But nevertheless, the narcissist will utilize one of those three outcomes in order to nullify the threat to control posed by that friend complaining about the narcissist. No, there was no sexually inappropriate behavior. Unfortunately, that secretary became fixated on me and had an unhealthy obsession, and she was repeatedly warned as to her conduct. The narcissist nullifies the threat to control by smearing that secretary as a sex-obsessed harpy, when in actual fact, the unwelcome sexual attention came from the narcissist, but who is now in a position of power and wealth, is better able to smear that individual to nullify the threat to control. You've seen this play out repeatedly, whereby an individual has a history, has a past, and often certain narcissists are very good at keeping it quiet through the utilization of both fear and greed to ensure the assertion of control so that the skeletons are very much kept in the closet. Others are less able to do so, and as you've witnessed with regard to the collateral consequences that Harry's wife has suffered, time and time again, her past conduct comes back to bite her on the backside. Of course, she doesn't accept it because her narcissism will never let her do so. Here, whether the investigation is merited or not is besides the point. The fact is it represents a threat to control for Donald Trump. Whether the investigation is founded on solid grounds or whether it is a speculative fishing expedition motivated by others that have it in for President Trump is in essence by the by, because what we're examining is the fact that the investigation in itself represents a threat to control. It's suggesting that he has committed fraud, a civil fraud, and therefore, as a consequence of that allegation, that suggests wrongdoing on the part of Donald Trump and the Trump Organization with regard to its business dealings. The narcissism must, of course, ensure that all threats to control are nullified. There are lots of different ways that the narcissist does this. It goes through the assertions of control, direct, indirect, or withdrawal. Here, the narcissism has selected and identified that Attorney General Letitia James represents a threat to control, and therefore that threat must be nullified. The narcissism determines that the most appropriate way for Donald Trump to do so, within, of course, the parameters of his status as an upper lesser type B, is to basically smear her and insult her, labelling her an unhinged liberal. Now, she may well be an unhinged liberal, and if that's the case, Donald Trump is using the truth against her. It might be that she's a liberal but not unhinged, and that it's her liberalism that is motivating the pursuit of Donald Trump, and therefore he's utilising a half-truth. It might be that she's neither unhinged nor liberal, and is just doing her job, and therefore it is a nowhere near the truth situation. The fact is, the investigation in itself represents a threat to Donald Trump's sense of control, and his narcissism is duty-bound, as it is the case for any narcissist, to nullify that threat. Some narcissists would just ignore it, and they would deal with it in a private manner, taking on the investigation and utilising the evidence. But that's not Trump's style. Remember, he's in your face, he's bombastic, he's belligerent. And therefore he utilises the platform of the rally to take a pop at her in order to nullify the threat to control. The article explains, on Saturday, former President Donald Trump held a rally in Florence, Arizona, where he played a supercut, mocking New York Attorney General Letitia James, who is currently leading a fraud investigation into the Trump Organization. Keep our prosecutors out of politics, because this could work very much in the other direction also, and all it takes is a few more votes, and it'll work in the other direction. And that would be very, very sad, Trump said, before directing attendees to watch the video. Clips showed James repeatedly calling Trump an illegitimate president, stating that prosecutors need to focus on following his money. In the final frame, unhinged liberal was superimposed over James's face. While Trump claimed on Saturday that he didn't know who the hell she is, he filed a lawsuit against James last month, assertion of control, accusing her of trying to harass him without investigations. James' probe is focused on whether Trump Organization officials artificially inflated or deflated the value of properties for loan and tax purposes, respectively. Leaving aside whether that actually happened, of course, a narcissist may well direct that to happen because of the sense of entitlement, the absence of emotional empathy, and a lack of accountability. On December the 1st, James issued subpoenas to the former president's eldest children, Ivanka Trump and Donald Trump Jr. Eric Trump, executive vice president of the Trump Organization, baselessly claimed that the investigation is unconstitutional during an interview with Sean Hannity on Monday. Well, he regards it as a foundation. The article suggests that it's baseless. You will be able to make your own determination about that. The article explains that he stated, "It violates the Constitution. It's unethical. It's wrong," Eric Trump said. "This is what you'd expect from Russia. This is what you'd expect from Venezuela. This is third-rate stuff." The point remains that the presence of the investigation represents a threat to control. And therefore, in those circumstances, what then happens is his narcissism has to deal with it. The narcissism might cause him to deal with it direct, and it did to an extent because he launched a lawsuit against her, and therefore that's a direct assertion of control. But she evidently has popped up on the radar again, and in this occasion there is necessitated an indirect assertion of control by him making mention of her at the rally. He does so because no doubt his supporters will agree with him that she is an unhinged liberal, and therefore their support allows him unconsciously to feel a sense of control over Attorney General Letitia James. He's not actively controlling her, but that's not the point. The ability to shift to the second or the third assertion of control, which is withdrawal, where basically he would ignore her, is commensurate with the principle of flectere senequeo superus adjuronta movibo, which roughly translated means, if I cannot raise hell, or rather, if I cannot move heaven, I will raise hell instead. If I can't make you do what I want, in your world, either positively or negatively, I will then just create an alternative world where I achieve what I want. So, for example, I might say to somebody, bring me a beer, please, and I'll give you £20. They do so. I motivated them with a benign manipulation to bring me beer, and I paid them. Alternatively, I might say, will you stop going on, otherwise I'll set fire to all your dresses. And they shut up. The risk of them having their dresses set on fire causes them to do what I want. Those are direct forms of control. But they're not always available to the narcissist. But the good news for us is that we are able, through our narcissism, to move to the indirect or withdrawal, the second and third assertions of control. And if you'd like to understand more about that, just go to the Knowledge Vault and obtain the 3 assertions of control. It really is required information to enable you to understand narcissism. And here, through what former President Trump has said about New York Attorney General Letitia James, is exemplified once again how an investigation poses a threat to control. It's not about whether it's legitimate or not, its very existence does. And thereafter the response is as commensurate with that of an upper lesser type B to nullify the threat to control. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.